And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience, and I've continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FB Show, we're going to continue our Week 3 game recaps, breaking down every single Week 3 matchup, all through the lens of fantasy football. So up next, we are talking the New York Jets versus the Indianapolis Colts. If you are excited for this game recap, be sure to hit that like button down below like an open receiver downfield to show your support for this video. You can also smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so that you never miss a video from me. Last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture, specifically Twitter, where I'd love to interact with all of you and answer your start sit, trade offers, and of course, waiver wire pickups and anything else fantasy football related. But let's dive right in between the Jets and the Colts, shall we? And mainly, we're going to talk about the Colts because the Colts absolutely mollywopped the Jets by a final score of 36-7. Sam Darnold, my man, it did not look pretty for him. 17 completions on 29 pass attempts. That number honestly is not bad, all things considered, but it's how you break it down after that. 168 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 2 of those being pick sixes. So if you started the Colts defense who put up 26 fantasy points for you, happy day to you. Frank Gore continues to see high volume in the running back room for New York. 15 carries for 57 yards. And Braxton Berrios, a name I talked about last week as a guy who's interesting to watch. 4 targets, 4 receptions for 64 yards, and a score. It's his second straight game with a touchdown and his second straight game with 14-plus fantasy points. On the other side, with the Colts, Phillip Rivers, 17 of 21, 217 yards, and 1 touchdown. Jonathan Taylor also got in the end zone on 13 carries for 59 yards and a score. T.Y. Hilton, oh boy, we're going to have to spend some time talking about you. 3 targets, 3 receptions for 52 yards. And Mo-Allie Cox does it again. 3 targets, 3 receptions for 50 yards, and a touchdown. And we got some things to talk about here, shall we? We're gonna light the Jets on fire, and by that I mean we're once again going to bitch about how awful Adam Gase is. Me and everybody else who plays fantasy football, anybody else who's a fan of the New York Jets, Adam Gase might be public enemy number 1 at this point. So here's the thing to take into consideration, right? This game started off where first play of the game, Sam Darnold throws a pick 6 to the Colts. Like, they literally start this game off down 7-0. What happens after that? Well, it's funny that you ask, because the Jets struggling, just struggling as an offense overall throughout the first 3 weeks of the season, they continue to run more run plays than pass plays even when they're trailing. It makes no sense. It's inexcusable. It's mindless, it's dumb, it's idiotic, it's blasphemous, it's asinine. Whatever word you want to use, it doesn't make sense. Kalen Ballage, 2 carries. Frank Gore, 15 carries. Michael Pittman, who I personally love, 7 carries. You add that all up, and that comes out to, let's see, that's 22, 24. Wait, why does that not make sense now? Am I thinking of the season? I think I'm thinking on the season, not this individual game. So I actually apologize, but regardless, the point still stands. Here's the point. You are trailing, and you are running, let's do math here. You are running 5 more pass plays than run plays. On the season overall, they've run more run plays than pass plays. But this doesn't make sense. They aren't letting Sam Darnold throw. They aren't utilizing Chris Herndon in the way that he needs to be utilized. And they are literally just refusing to throw to anybody. Like, I think that's the important thing here. You look at this, Herndon, 5 targets. Ryan Griffin, 2 targets. Braxton Berrios, 4. I don't even know who this is. Lawrence Cager, congratulations on making the team because Denzel Mims and Brashad Perriman are both injured. He had 4 targets. Chris Hogan had 3. Josh Malone had 0. What are we doing here? Even out of the receiving game, right? The majority of targets went to running backs, and this is what I'm talking about too. Ballage had 5 targets. Frank Gore had 1. Michael Pittman had 2. And I get it. I understand it's tough sledding right now in New York because of all the injuries, right? But in a game where you're trailing, how the fuck are you running the ball 24 times compared to throwing it 29? Especially when your running backs are Kalen Ballage, who you picked up off the street once the Dolphins cut him, and Frank Gore. old timeless, ageless Frank Gore, which fine, whatever. I get wanting to give Frank Gore 8 carries, but 15, really? And Michael Piron, who you just drafted out of Florida, who has been battling a high ankle sprain all training camp and all season long so far, he gets 7. And you're trailing 7-0 to start this game, and the game got out of hand pretty quickly as well. I don't know. I'm going to say this again. Don't start your Jets. The only person who I'm actually interested in starting, and again, this is mainly just for deeper league, is in fact Braxton Berrios, depending on if Pittman continues to miss. Mims can't come back until week 5. I don't know how long Jamison Crowder is going to be out, but if Crowder misses another week, Braxton Berrios is the guy to look at. Just back-to-back weeks where he is the guy. Last week he had 8 targets, 6 receptions, 59 yards, and a score. This week versus the Colts, 4 targets, 4 receptions for 64 and 1. Just a name to keep an eye on. I'm not running out to the waiver wire and spending a ton of fab on him or anything like that. But honestly, maybe $1 bid if you need a wide receiver, because I don't think he's going to be somebody that people are going to be eyeing up just because of how awful this Jets offense is. Chris Herndon's droppable. He should have been dropped already if you haven't. But this game absolutely cements him in the droppable category. It makes me sad because I love Chris Herndon, the talent. Adam Gase does not, apparently. All right, I want to talk about the Colts real quick. I'm tired about talking about the Jets. It's useless. Don't stay away. Just stay away. I picked the Colts in my pick'em, and it did great. It was wonderful. It was wonderful to watch them get 2 pick sixes almost immediately. Right? Xavier Rhodes had 2, and I think in a quarter and a half, I think it was. So just please start all the defenses against the Jets if you need picks for suicide or whatever pick'em that you're in. You can pick the team facing the Jets. It's going to be good things. It's going to be good things for you. This is the worst team in the league, and it's not even particularly close. But moving over to the Colts, Phillip Rivers, again, in a great matchup, can't get it done. And you can't play Phillip Rivers, I don't think. He's not going to hurt you, but he's not going to do enough to help you either. When you look through his game log so far throughout the season, he's had 15 points, then 10, and then 12. That's how I don't get it with a cast like this where it was supposed to be so good. How is it so flat? Right, the reason why the Colts primarily won this game is once again because of their defense, and the offense wasn't asked to do a whole lot, admittedly. But man, to see Phillip Rivers come out looking like this, it's tough. So I would move on from Phillip Rivers. I'm sure that there's a quarterback on your waiver wire that you would rather have instead, in all honesty. Jonathan Taylor played pretty well again, 13 carries. Nyhiem Hines was actually involved in this game, which was really surprising to me. I didn't say it during the game preview, but what I meant to bring up was the fact that I think Hines is going to be based on game script, just because last week when they were ahead versus Minnesota, it was Jonathan Taylor getting all the work, and Nyhiem Hines got nothing. And I felt like that was how things were going to go. But Hines did get 7 carries, had 5 targets as well. So he was decently relevant for you. He finished with 8.1 fantasy points. Taylor putting up 12.5 and half-point formats. He was fine. I would have loved to see him get the ball more. I guess I'm a bit confused about this, about what the game situation was like. Where the fact that Nyhiem Hines had 11 total touches, where Jordan Wilkins had 9 carries. Like, what's going on here? Are they just trying to preserve Jonathan Taylor? Was it that much of a blowout where they didn't want to run the risk? I want to go back and figure out what was up with Jonathan Taylor's usage. We need to talk about T.Y. Hilton, and that is you can't play him. It's done. It's done. I was saying this coming into the game. If T.Y. Hilton could not get it done against this Jets defense, you cannot start him. He is now a bench player that I think you hold. Because especially with bye weeks coming up, he's a guy that you would like to have to supplement players on their bye weeks. But yeah, T.Y. Hilton, it's done. It's done. You cannot start him with confidence any longer. Only 3 targets, caught all 3 for 52 yards. Busted in a matchup that was so juicy for him. Michael Pittman left this game with an injury, and it actually went a lot worse as the night went on. So I want to make sure that I get this right. I want to say he left the game with a hamstring injury. Can I get this? Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the big thing you need to know because I can't find this right now. So Pittman leaves the game, right? And then later on that night, something goes wrong. and he was actually diagnosed with, where's this right? Yes. So Pittman was diagnosed with Cartman leg syndrome, and basically he needed to get immediate surgery for this. And basically what this is, I did some research into it, hashtag not a doctor. It's basically when there's so much bleeding going on in it within like a muscle group, or that they have to cut something open in order to like relieve the stress because of all like the bleeding that's going on in there. So it's actually a super serious thing. And so he had to have immediate surgery. He's now going to miss several weeks. It looks like he's going to miss anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks. And that absolutely sucks because, as I was saying during the preview, Michael Pittman was a guy where if he were to go crazy this game, he would be a guy who I'd be looking to target in all of my leagues on the waiver wire, because I know for a fact he's still available in most leagues. It sucks because he is such a young talent, and I thought he could break out as the season progressed. But unfortunately, this injury is definitely going to sideline him for the next, for the next 2/3 of the year, missing 6 to 8 weeks. It's a rough go for the rookie out of USC. Zach Pascal, not interested either. Again, like, there's just not enough passing volume in this offense. The targets aren't great. Like, the depth of target isn't great. Just this offense, for how great this offense is in the run game, it's awful in the pass. It's just not attractive. It's not sexy. The names aren't coming through. No T.Y. Pittman's out now. Pascal, who is a guy who's thrived a bit in the past, is now just meh, right? The only bright spot I think in this passing offense is in fact Mo-Allie Cox. And Mo-Allie Cox has been a name, super deep name for most fantasy diehards, but if you are just a casual player, you may not know who he is. He's basically just a monster human being, very similar to Jimmy Graham, where in the sense of he's just a freak athlete and he's monstrous. So you send him downfield and you throw it his way and he'll just go up and grab the ball. He again got into the end zone. He got into the end zone this week, catching all 3 of his targets for 50 yards rather, and a score. As much as I would love to gas up Mo-Allie Cox, I know for a fact Jack Doyle is going to be back soon. And if Doyle is back, I think Cox's value diminishes significantly. But the reason why it is so high right now is because of the fact that Phillip Rivers loves to target the tight end. And it seems like Mo-Allie Cox fits that narrative just a little bit, right? I don't know when Doyle's going to be back. I heard there was a chance he was going to play. In fact, he was active, wasn't he? He was active this week. But he didn't see a target. He played 53% of snaps. Hang on. What's happening here? That's interesting. So, Mo-Allie Cox outsnapped Jack Doyle 36-32. But Doyle did not get a single target. Okay, that changes it a little bit. So if this team moves to Mo-Allie Cox moving forward, and it looks like that's the way it may trend, can you use Mo-Allie Cox like full time? Is that something that we're actually going to bring up? Like, is Mo-Allie Cox now going to be is he going to be a definitive tight end start? He's currently tight end 7 on the year. I think that's interesting. I would spend $3 a fab on Mo-Allie Cox. Just as a hold. If I have the bench room, I'm going to do it just to see what happens. Maybe you have Hayden Hurst, who hasn't come through for you fully in the way that you wanted to. Maybe you have Chris Herndon, and you're finally ready to cut bait. Jared Cook, Austin Hooper, and you need a guy to pick up. Mo-Allie Cox might be the guy for you. But I think that's going to do it for my game recap between the Jets and the Colts. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. Trying to do it for all of the Week 3 games, all through the lens of fantasy football, of course. You can also follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture, specifically Twitter. I love answering your start-sit questions, trade offers, and anything fantasy football related. Again, you can smash the subscribe button so that you never miss a video from me. Again, thank you so much for watching. Remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever, and I will see you in the next video.